The shocking news story of the century. Who really won Queen's trial? While most of the noble houses thought the obvious winner was Evangeline of House Samos, the bigger question is why has the king still not spoken about the mystery servant that sparked conversations throughout the country and the troubles it could cause for his decision? I'm Greg Rockefeller.
I'm Beth Rockefeller.
And I'm Mia Rockefeller, and this is Reading with the Rockefellers, a family book club podcast.
Today we are discussing Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard.
So grab a copy and join us on this literary journey. Lady Marina Titanos, born to Lady Nora Noel Titanos and Lord Ethan Titanos, General of the Iron Legion, heiress to House Titanos. Maria Titanos. Welcome to Reading with the Rockefellers. This is episode 5, Red Queen, chapters 9 through 11.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your last name. So, Titanos.
Think we can say that one a couple more times?
So this is Mare Barrow, our heroines. This is her new.
Excuse me, Titana.
Sorry, Titanos.
She literally just told you that.
Excuse me?
This is Marina Titanos. This is This is Mare's new identity.
Yes.
So what is this all about?
How do we open on Mare? This is kind of an unusual situation for any book not called The Hunger Games, where you've seen this already, but tell us what they're doing to Mare.
They are trying to take her because they found out that she has this ability that she shouldn't have at all. This is not normal. They are trying to hide her so that nobody knows that she's a red with an ability.
They want her to appear silver.
Yes.
So what they do here is they say that her dad's side is Titanos, and what was the ability of the Titanos? What were they called?
Oblivions.
And they basically just can make stuff explode by touching it, almost, right?
Yes.
And then you've got the mother side. And was it Noel? No, Noelle, right?
Nolle.
Noel.
Noel.
Yeah, I just read it like Noel.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the mom side, and there's storms, which means they can kind of almost control the weather to an extent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what Alara is trying to pawn off is saying, okay, this is the union of these two people, and that's how you got this unique ability to control electricity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we're getting ahead of ourselves there.
We're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit.
Yeah. Let's take it back a step and go step by step.
Okay.
Because when we open with Mare, she's going through, like, the glow-up process.
Yeah, kind of her transformation from red girl from the stilts to silver. Technically still from the stilts, but we'll get to that later.
Right. Well, and, like, so stupid me, when I was reading this the first time, it didn't occur to me the makeup thing is just as much, like, it's not an illusion as far as the fact that she needs to look made up to fit in the capital, which she does, but also she doesn't have red blood in her veins, or she doesn't have silver blood in her veins. She has red blood in her veins, so her face looks like a red, her body looks like a red, so they have to cover her completely with makeup, almost like the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
Because without it, they can easily tell that she's red no matter what happens.
Which is one of the holes I see in their plan. In the Silver's plan here. The royal family's plan. Because if she really was silver, wouldn't the people who had seen her during Queen's trial, when they thought she was just a normal red, wouldn't they be like, oh, but she looked like a red? Why does she suddenly look silver? You'd think some people would start questioning that.
I don't know if it's just because of, like, the amount of clothes that she had on. I don't know exactly what the deal was with that. But, yeah, the makeup kind of, it goes on, and then Mare almost uses it as, like, a shield between her and her old life. So when she has the makeup on, she's Marina. And when she doesn't have the makeup on, she's back to Mare.
She kind of uses it as a reminder of who she's supposed to be at that point in time.
Right. Then she kind of has a little bit of a existential crisis almost. Well, I mean, she does.
She does,
Tell us what she
100%.
says.
She has an existential crisis. So she says, how long will this last? This is in her mind. This is like an inner monologue thing.
Yeah, inner monologue.
Yeah. How long will this last? Betrothed to a prince. Even in my head, it sounds crazy. Because it is. No silver in their right mind would marry you, let alone a prince of Norda. Not to calm rebellion, not to hide your identity, not for anything. Then why do this?
So, see, at this point, all of these things that are happening to Mare, she still doesn't really believe that everything that she's being told is what's going to come to fruition at this point. She's doubting everything.
Right, yeah, they've told her that this is what's going to happen, but I don't know if she still thinks she's just going to get locked away or whatever.
Or
but
murdered.
Then they bring out the dress, which is probably worth more one dress than every piece of clothing Mare's ever owned combined.
Yeah. It's a really nice dress.
It sounds like a beautiful dress. I mean, purple's my favorite color, so I would be right there with the Titanos family. And I would also like to be able to blow things up when I get mad. So,
It's so much better than throwing a normal temper tantrum.
Team Titanos. Heyo. Okay, so tell us about the dress.
The dress is a dark shade of purple, spattered with silver. So the house's colors are purple and silver.
Kind of seems like silver is a prerequisite unless you're royalty. And even then, I think they still have silver on there.
There are some that aren't. I think it's just there's happens to be a lot of combinations that are like talked about that have silver in them.
Yeah.
But I've definitely, like, as you go through it and you look at all of them, if you collect them all, there are more that don't have silver than that do.
I'm sure we'll get there.
Yeah.
I did find a quote here. Some more foreshadowing. Mare says, I will never wear a crown or sit on a throne. Something will happen. An accident, maybe. So Mare doesn't think it's going to happen, but she has no idea what will actually happen.
Yeah, because she knows that the queen, because it's really Alara that wants to do something to her, she knows that the queen can't just come right out and kill her, because then everyone would be questioning, oh, what happened? Why did you just kill her? It was such a unique thing. But she's thinking maybe she'll find a sneakier way to kill me, like an accident.
Right.
Air quotes, accident.
Exactly. And then the maids try to get Mare to give up one last piece of her red life, and they pretty much pull back a nub.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So they try and take the earrings that Mare has, that her brothers gave to her when they got conscripted. Each time they got conscripted, her brothers gave her an earring. And they split them between her and Giza. So she is thinking, this is the last thing that I have tying me to my old life. They can change everything else, but they cannot take these from me.
So does she get to keep them?
Yes. It's like the only thing that they don't change.
Impressive.
And her hair, I think. Do they dye her hair?
Not that I remember.
So then, at this point, as she's getting all dressed up and fending off the earring stealers, Cal comes in, correct?
Mm-hmm. He comes in.
Does she say something about him when he comes in? Because for some reason in my notes I say Cal comes in all swole. That's my name for Cal. Cal is swole,
Swole Cal.
for me.
No.
Swole Cal. Because he's always described as being rather buff and muscly.
He says that color suits you.
Yeah.
So
He's
like,
he's kind of
basically,
flattering her.
You look nice.
Yeah.
You look nice.
You look so pretty.
And then he apologizes to her, right, for getting her into all. She's like,
Yeah. She's also, Cal isn't supposed to, I don't think he's supposed to be in her room.
I would
Well, he's
say
definitely
probably.
He's not
supposed
supposed to be
in her
there.
room.
It's like, no,
Yeah.
I don't think you should be here,
It's a given.
man. But he is, for some reason.
And she blushes, I noticed, which is the first time that she's thankful that she's been painted silver because he
That
can't
hides
see
the-
that she's blushing.
Yeah. Ooh, Mare, you want to tell us something?
Well, this is interesting. It'll reverse itself later on in the chapter or in the next chapter. But when he goes to start his conversation with her, he calls her Mare, and she says, "It's Marina, remember?" And she's very quick to point out, no, I'm Marina. I cannot be, you can't call me Mare
It's
anymore."
literally later in this conversation.
Yeah. And then he says, "Good thing Mare is an acceptable nickname then, because he's not going to stop calling her Mare," basically.
He's like, I'm swole cow.
Basically, I know who you
Do
are.
what I want to do.
And
swamp cow.
And my dad can try and hide it, but I won't. Like, he can make me not refer to you that way. He can try. It's not going to work.
Right.
Right.
I think he's trying to give her just like a little piece of
Normalcy.
niceness, normalcy in all of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
he
I'm
does
sure
feel,
he
I'm sure,
feels
really bad.
Right. I mean, you couldn't even imagine how that would feel.
Right. He's probably like, I am the worst.
I am the absolute worst.
I mean, he's not the ant from Jurassic World, but he's pretty bad.
Pretty bad.
And then we meet another character too. This is a fun one.
Is this when we meet Lucas?
This is when we meet Lucas.
No, we met Lucas in chapter 8. You guys
Oh, we
both
did
think
meet Lucas.
we
right, we
literally covered this.
Right. No. Well, we
But
met.
this is when we actually find out the substance about
We
Lucas.
knew
That's true.
Lucas existed and he had a name and it was Lucas. That was really all we knew at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
But now we find out a lot more about Lucas and like his stance with his family, and that basically Cal has made sure that whatever Mare needs, Lucas is going to take care of for her. So he lets her know that she can trust Lucas no matter what, you know, because I'm sure
Yeah.
she feels like there's nobody that she can trust there. She probably doesn't even trust Cal at this point in time.
Yeah.
Do we find out some other things about Lucas's family at this point?
Oh yeah, they hate him.
Yeah.
They think he's weak, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he hates them, so it's a mutual hate.
Exactly.
It's just none of them like him, and he doesn't like the rest of them. So,
And then does she not? She also learned something too about Cal and Maven. Does she not at this point? Is this not when she learns that that Elara is not Cal's mother?
yes. Yeah. Yeah. Elara isn't Cal's mom. So,
But does she find any more information out about that? She just knows that there was clearly a queen prior to Elara, and that would be Cal's
And that's
mother.
Cal's mom.
Yeah.
But she doesn't know anything else other than
No.
Elara is not.
And we kind of see Cal tells Mare that he's the one that saved her when the fire was in the palace. That he kept her, well, saved. He says saved her, basically. She equates it to he stopped her from being able to escape and go back to her family.
but that's why at that time I said, do you think that she would have actually made it back to the stilts
Exactly.
and been able to live had he
Not
not
a chance.
Yeah.
caught her?
And Cal comes right out and tells her that, like, Elara would have hunted you to the end of the earth.
Even if
And
you
your
made
family.
it past all the security, the sentinels, literally everything, if you made it back to the stilts, you still wouldn't be able to stay there.
We have a mutter count here.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Yeah.
some muttering. So
Everybody mutter.
Everybody mutters or mumbles or just so annoying. There will also be a flinch/wince count
yeah.
because Mare does both of those things a lot.
This is when Mare is putting a lot of pressure on herself too. Like, we don't need Alara to come in and put any pressure on Mare, really, because she's
But of course
doing
she
it.
will.
Oh, of course she will. But Mare's doing it on her own. She says, "Red behind a silver curtain that can never be pulled away. Others will die for her failure." So, I mean, she knows if she doesn't pull this off, that people are going to die. Her family, Kalorn, you know, who knows where the queen would stop if Mare makes it embarrassing for them or whatever.
Exactly. So, and it's not just Mare. Like, of course, they'll find a way to kill Mare if she slips up. But it also her family, her friends, everybody that she loves.
Now, when she's walking with Lucas, they're walking to the feast, right? For the Queen's trial. Does she bump into Alara again here?
She does, unfortunately.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
This is where we get the information correct about her identity. This is where Alara's like, this who you is now.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. I got to interject my favorite part
Oh my god.
in this.
This is part that cracks you up so
Yeah,
much.
that I cracked up so much about. Mare's first time in an elevator.
It is really funny because you know what?
Let me share.
You know why I think it's so funny for you? Because you're also scared of
I
elevators.
hate elevators, and it's good to know that it's a natural, ingrained fear,
Let's see what
and
you got
not
here.
something that you learn
Mom, in all fairness,
from years of riding in elevators, being afraid they're going to break down. With
in
you.
all fairness, this was her first time riding in an elevator, and she is from one of the poorest red towns that isn't a slum.
Right. She says, "The sentinels usher us into a box with no windows and harsh lighting. I force myself to breathe, even though, even though I'd rather push out of what feels like a giant metal coffin. I jump a mile when the lift suddenly moves, making my pulse race. My breath comes in short gasps as I look around in wide-eyed fright, expecting to see the others reacting the same way. But no one else seems to mind the fact that the box we're in is dropping. Only Lucas notices my discomfort and slows our descent a little. Then he has to explain it to her. The lift moves up and down
It's an elevator.
so we can get to where we're going. She has no idea, and I think it's hilarious. Like, he has to explain to her that they get in this metal death box to get moved around because it's so big, and then he's basically smiling and gloating at her because he's so amused by her first time riding in an elevator.
There's a murmur in there, by the way.
I
He
can
murmurs.
hear the venom in your voice when you speak of elevators. When did they harm you?
My mother hates
They
elevators.
haven't yet, but the
I want-
time is coming. I know it is.
I want everyone to write that down. It pertains to the story in no way, but my mom hates elevators.
Listen, you've been in those elevators in those buildings downtown. You know what I'm talking about. When you
Those
have to
aren't-
go up and down in the 7-Eleven South Jefferson elevator 8 times a day.
Those aren't elevators. They have like an 80-year-old dude. They strap you to his back and you.
They're death traps. I'm telling you. I feel you on this one, Mare. I feel you.
Oh, I'm so glad I don't. So glad I don't have to deal with downtown very much.
So we get a little description of the queen
Mm-hmm.
here. Very pale, obviously.
Mm-hmm. That's
And
where
very
Maven
blonde.
gets it as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're naturally pale because they're silvers.
Well,
but-
it's true, but like
She's-
paler than normal.
Right. So she's like very, very blonde, almost white hair,
Mm-hmm.
and pale.
Ugh.
So we kind of talked about that for our listeners. We did some test recording the other day and recorded a fun little bonus episode that will probably never see the light of day about dream casting for the series. And we talked a lot about blondes that could play Alara.
There's a lot of talk about like who's blonde and would be good for Alara. Not that it matters. We did.
I mean, we could dye their hair, but they also have to be Like, we can't start with, I don't know, the
Say a
chick that
name.
plays Santiago on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, because she's not pale enough. You know what I'm saying? We can't just make her
Exactly.
blonde and there she's Alara. We have to start with somebody that's kind of got that sort of
Yeah. But it's,
Swedish Nordic type thing going on.
Swedish,
I mean, we didn't care about hair for any other characters.
Nordish. Well,
Really.
That's not true.
we will do a casting at the end of the book, I think.
We will, yeah, probably at the end
Like a
of
little
each
mini
book.
series or something.
Or we'll
It'll
be a miniseries,
fantasy
trust
cast
me.
the show or miniseries or a movie
Yeah.
or whatever maybe will be made.
It is, I did notice with my research the other day that it was confirmed earlier this year by Victoria AVR that it'll be on Peacock.
Yay!
So when the series comes out, it will be on Peacock and it will be homed by
Well,
Elizabeth Banks.
we have Peacock
Yeah,
because I am a wrestling fanatic, so that's why I have Peacock.
that's right. And plus you can watch Dateline 24 hours a day.
Correct.
And Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
And Office.
Mother,
Okay.
Psych.
Mom.
Psych the movie.
So can
I
we
agree
go
with
into the
those last two.
Can we go into this made-up backstory now? Because I jumped the gun early.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we kind of talked about most of it.
Yeah, so Alara comes up with this big convoluted story about the history of Mare, quote unquote.
Yeah, she's got a dad who's in oblivion who can blow stuff up, and a mom who's a storm who can kind of control weather. So that means that they have a unique ability. Mare has a unique ability to control electricity. That's where it came from.
Yeah.
Is this a thing that actually happens, or do we know that at this point?
We don't know.
Based on what I can see, this
No.
is not something that has happened before. So that's why Alara is using it as the cover story of needing to keep Mare close by.
Like, this is something that doesn't happen very often, so we need to, like, look at when it does happen.
We've never seen this, so we need to keep an eye on her.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is true on both sides of the coin, but on only one side of the coin is Alara actually concerned about Mare.
Oh, right.
On the other one, she just wants to keep her under her thumb.
Yeah. Exactly. There's another quote at the end I want to read here.
Yeah, this is a good one.
It's a really good one. So Alara is in Mare's head, telling her kind of what needs to happen. And she says, "You're pretending to be raised red, but you're silver by blood. You are now red in the head, silver in the heart. From now until the end of your days, you must lie. Your life depends on it, little lightning girl." So she's quite clearly threatening her.
Yeah, she's basically saying, you're going to be what I tell you you're going to be, and you're going to like it, or else. And Mare's really concerned, as we found out, about her family.
Yeah.
She figures already by this point that this situation will kill her. She will die in this situation. Either Alara will kill her, she'll mess up, something's going to happen, and this situation will kill her.
One of the Queen's trial girls are gonna kill her.
Right.
Someone's gonna murder her.
So she's really only concerned with securing her family and Kalorn, because she feels like that's the part of it that she can control. Even though that's the part of it that's outside the palace, and she really doesn't have any control over it, she kind of feels like she's playing her ace card and getting them taken care of while she's gonna die at the palace, pretty much.
Basically, I'll sacrifice myself so that my brothers and Kalorn and my family don't have to worry about it.
Right. She's assuming that that would continue after they murder her.
Exactly. She's assuming that after she's out of the way, they're not just gonna go back on their deal.
She assumes a lot.
She really does. Makes a lot of assumptions. And it almost gets her killed multiple times.
Well, I think also in her mind, it's much probably easier for her brain to cope with the fact that she's going to die soon than it is to be that this is literally going to be the rest of her life.
Yeah. She would rather die within the next few months
sure
than
she
have
probably
to
doesn't
live the rest of her life
Right.
like this.
She hasn't been able to come to grips with that yet, I don't think.
Yeah, just she's kind of just like, the sooner I die, the sooner it's all over with.
Yeah.
So, then we move into chapter 10.
Yes, yes we do.
which is the Queen's Trial feast, yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Unfortunately.
Lots of looks at this new world through Mare's eyes.
Yeah.
Because this is the sort of elegance of the elegance. You know what I mean? This is a royal feast. It's going to be some big speeches, stuff happen later on. So this is the first time that Mare gets a glimpse of what this Silver Palace life is going to look like for her.
Mm-hmm.
And she is super confused.
Yeah. She's confused, but she's also, like, in awe of everything. Like, it's beautiful, but I am so confused right now.
Yeah. She says Marina is impressed, but keeps her emotions in check, cold and unfeeling.
Mm-hmm.
So she's already practicing. But also she notices, because Mare's very smart, she notices when she's walking in and seeing how all the families are seated and arranged and everything, that within this world that she thought was just black and white, there are many shades of gray that make up palace life. The king and queen are on the top,
Of course.
and they always like to show it.
Oh, do they?
But there are families descending down in a hierarchy from them. It's not just the royal family, and then right below that is all the other silvers. There's definitely a hierarchy within this hierarchy.
Right,
Yeah.
she's learning this, like, there's not just reds and silvers. There's reds, then there's really low silvers, then silvers, then silvers, then silvers. I mean, there's this, like...
It's like a
reds-
high school.
Right, for the most part, reds pretty much are the bottom.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
held there.
yeah,
But the silvers, it's not just that they're all gods. There's definitely, like you said, there's normal silvers. I know it sounds silly, but I'm sure probably weaker, different abilities we've never heard of. There's probably some that just have, like, the ability to run, like, 5% faster than normal people. That's it.
There is actually a silver ability that's just the ability to run faster. It's a lot faster than that.
Right, but I'm just
But
saying,
still.
there's normal silvers.
Or it doesn't necessarily depend on the ability either. It depends on the family's level of power.
Correct, the hierarchy of everything.
Yeah.
Mare's learning quickly, like the chasm between how she views reds and how she views silvers is quickly closing. She's
Yeah.
seeing that they're very
Not-
human-like,
yeah.
emotional.
Not that much different
No, just the
in
fact
the
that
grand
they're-
scheme of
right.
things.
Just the fact that they right now have the power.
Yeah.
we get another good piece of foreshadowing here when they walk into the feast and Mare sees the royal family standing there. The king and queen look very smug, lording over their subjects.
Of course.
Cal also looks like he's kind of holding it together. He knows he's going to have to propose to somebody. And
That he
blah, blah,
doesn't
blah, blah,
like.
blah.
He
That
doesn't wanna do
like,
this.
right. He's not here for this at all.
Nope.
But even worse than that is Maven. Mare can see the storm all over Maven's face. And she specifically says, the younger brother is not as good as Cal at hiding his feelings. At least I won't have to deal with a good liar. Oh, honey. Poor Mare.
And that's all we're going to say about that.
Yeah. We'll leave you there with that.
Foreshadow.
Foreshadowing. So, then the king and queen go into this whole huge lie about Mare's backstory and all that. Marina.
They're telling everyone at the feast, right? They're like,
Yeah.
the king is like, gets up and makes a big speech about this.
Huge speech about it. The queen joins in. They have to milk it for every single drop it's worth. Just gonna wring it all out.
And then what does Alara say that Mare will do? They will join House Titanos and Kalor.
Yeah,
Basically saying she's going to marry
one of the princes.
one of the princes.
And all the Queen's Trial girls are immediately like, oh, no,
They're
she's
like,
taking Cal from us.
Excuse
You know,
me?
she's-
Yeah.
No
none of them are
way.
happy.
No, none of them are happy. And then And then Maven comes forward and kind of deflates all the tension in the room.
And he does what?
He proposes to Mare. And it sounds like a question, but she has absolutely no choice in her answer.
She's like, okay.
Sure, why not? I mean, your mom's gonna kill me if I say no, so yes, I guess.
It's a begrudging yes, but she knows she doesn't have a choice right now.
Yeah.
There's a part here that kind of tugged on my heartstrings a little bit, where she's thinking about who she would have wanted to be proposing to her in this moment. Like, I'm only ever going to get one person to propose to me in a lifetime. Who would I have wanted it to be? And
Can I read what she says?
yeah, go ahead.
Chris Hemsworth?
It's definitely Chris Hemsworth.
You want me to read the whole thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Who would I have chosen if none of this had happened? If Kalorn's master never died? If Giza's hand was never broken? If nothing ever changed? Conscription, survival, green-eyed children with quick feet and Kalorn's last name. That future was almost impossible before. Now it's non-existent.
Aww.
I know.
Lauren, poor young man that she friend-zoned.
Aww.
She wanted to be there one more time to say, thanks, buddy.
He's not even gonna try climbing out of the friend zone either. He's just kind of gonna be like, yeah, man, it's fine.
He's moving in. He's comfortable with it.
Yeah. It's like, hey girl. Oh, hey buddy.
But maybe it's making her rethink that and think, well, what I had. I mean, at least he was always there.
Exactly.
Right.
If I had to choose between Maven or Kalorn, I feel like I would choose Kalorn.
Of course, that choice would also have been made after coming home from surviving war.
Oh, that's true.
She would have had to have been conscripted, go to the choke, survive,
Hope he survived.
hope he survives, then come home again.
Well, I mean, if his master hadn't died, he wouldn't have to worry about it.
True story.
Well, that's a lot of this.
Exactly. She hates it.
So do we...
That's why she even says, if is the worst word in the world.
Yeah. Ugh.
So who wins? Do we find out who wins Queen Trial?
Yeah, we do.
And who is it?
It's Evangeline! Oh my god!
That's a shock, right? No.
No, it's not at all.
Like everyone was talking about it before Mare fell into the lightning field.
Yeah, it was just... Oh, okay. That was kind of anticlimactic, if I'm being
So
honest.
after Maven proposes to Mare, what does Cal do?
He gets up and he proposes to Evangeline. He's not happy, by the way. This
No.
doesn't make him happy.
He's got the Stephen King smile on his face. Doesn't quite reach his eyes. That
He's
Victoria Aveyard likes to write about, too.
Mom is also a huge Stephen King fan.
Love my Stephen King.
And does Evangeline say yes?
Of course!
Right, because she's going to be queen. That's a big deal. Someday.
Someday. Yes.
But Evangeline kind of takes it on herself in this moment to be like Mare's guide to how to accept a proposal from a prince.
Yeah.
And poor Mare is just worried that Evangeline's fingernails are going to break her skin and make her bleed red in front of everybody in the feast.
Yeah.
It's like she's not even, she can't even get out of her head that much to be like, Evangeline's trying to save me by getting me to look somewhat normal. She's still just, I mean, it's like,
she can only see the threat that's happening.
yeah, it makes me think of what's going on in her mind must be like what happens to the cat in the Pepe Le Pew commercials after she accidentally gets the white stripe painted down her back and Pepe Le Pew thinks she's a skunk. And she's just constantly trapped and trying to squirm out of everything with that look on her face. Like, that's just how I pictured Mare throughout this whole thing. It's just
good.
trying to get away from Pepe Le Pew.
That's pretty good. That's really good.
Now I feel the need, someone needs to make like a gif of that, where they take like fan art of Mare and put it like over the over the cat.
And then Evangeline threatens to kill her, so that's great.
Oh yeah, of course. Because Evangeline can't not. She's a very, very violent person.
Yep.
Yeah, she's not a good human being.
Nope, not in the slightest.
Or whatever.
Then we get some more muttering. So back up. add another one to the mutter count.
Yeah.
Then does the king?
In all fairness, Evangeline is smiling, so she's trying not to drop her smile.
Trying to talk
So she's like talking through her smile, and it doesn't come out very well.
And then
muttering, still muttering.
Yep.
Then the king mentions something.
So I have it written here as I'll go through the whole thing. He talks about the Scarlet Guard,
Yes.
and he says that the Scarlet Guard may seem small and insignificant to us, talking about Silvers, but they represent a dangerous turn for our Red brothers. And no one in the crowd really likes that he called them brothers.
Yeah, did anybody else hear a record scratch in your head when you were reading that?
A little bit. I was like, wait, what?
What did he just say? Like,
Honey,
seriously?
what?
Yeah.
But, so, I have it written here, and he calls them brothers. I just have written in my notes, King calls Red brothers. Mare no likey.
Yeah.
That doesn't make her happy. I think we all have something like that written.
Pretty much, yeah.
Correct.
Something we can't share on a
Yeah.
family-friendly YA podcast.
Yes. But basically, he's saying this Scarlet Guard that has caused all these problems for us, the Silvers, are no problem for us Silvers. They're inferior, but they may cause problems for our Red brothers. Like, right?
Oh, this guy.
Right, but he's like, not just that. He's like making it sound like clearly the Scarlet Guard is going after Reds, like
What?
Right. Then, not
They're
only that,
planting the seed.
he doubles down and says, a divided nation is something I cannot bear. We must maintain balance. Which made me think, where has the king been this whole time if he thinks that there's any balance? He only thinks that because he's a Silver and the scales are tipped in his favor. And now he's upset because they're starting to have little pebbles that are going to add weight to the other side of the scale. They're not even in danger of tipping the scale. There's just a tiniest rumble of unevenness on the scale, and he calls that a divided nation.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like, dude,
How do you not know how
check
divided your
yourself.
nation already is?
yeah. And thinking that the weddings with one girl that was raised as a Red and one girl that we'll find out will bring peace throughout the kind of Silver hierarchy, like he thinks that's going to heal this nation, and that's how out of touch he is.
Because it's not. Trust me.
Well, we know that. So then, after the king gives his little speech there, Maven is all whiny. What's up with Maven?
So, Maven is whiny. This kind of sets a tone, by the way. Maven is very whiny.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is where the flip side from the other one comes in. He goes to apologize to her and calls her Marina.
Mm-hmm.
And she corrects him and says, my name is Mare.
Actually, she doesn't say it.
Well,
She wants to.
Yeah.
But she doesn't.
in her head, she's
Yeah.
like, my name is Mare.
And then he's complaining because he didn't get to choose who to marry.
Because normally the younger prince, who
Yeah.
doesn't have to marry for royalty, gets to choose
Yeah.
who he gets to marry. It's
Any child
kind
that's
of
not
one of
the
the
heir.
only benefits of not being the heir.
Yeah. And Mare basically shuts him down by saying that he and Cal have literally everything. They live in a palace. They have everything done for them. So she shouldn't feel sorry for him. Like, she shouldn't feel pity. Because they don't feel pity for her, and she's gone through so much more.
Right. Maven's mad because he lost his ability to choose, but Mare never had that either,
In the first
so
place.
she can't feel sorry for
Yeah,
him.
Mare never
right.
had the ability to choose really anything that happened in her life. He's getting angry because he couldn't choose who to marry, which is
Yeah.
something so, to the Silvers, it's so small and so trivial.
Right. Yeah, she's not here for any of this with Maven.
Nope.
So then we slide into chapter 11. We're done with the feast. Now we're getting to the toast part of the
Yay!
evening. Everybody's getting their drunk on. Tongues are starting to get a little loose. Evangeline's dad gets up and makes a toast.
Hang on, there is one more thing. There's one quote that I want to read.
Oh, at the end,
chapter
yeah.
10, yeah.
It says, I am a red girl in a sea of silvers. I can't afford to feel sorry for anyone, least of all the son of a snake.
Oof.
Yeah. So she's slamming on Alara and Maven
At the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's masterful.
I think she's also trying to say, hey, no matter what they may say or do now from this point on, they're keeping me here against my will, so they're not
Exactly.
good people anyway, and I'm not going to
Yeah.
allow them to get into my good graces. I'm just going to go and do what I got to do, so.
Then here come all the toasts at the end of the feast.
Yeah, and the big one is Volo.
Yeah. It's Evangeline's dad. He's all bragging about the fact that Evangeline won Queen's trial and she's gonna be queen. He's not really bragging necessarily. It just comes across like
Yeah.
that.
He's more just talking, and he's that smarmy that's...
That's just kind of how
What
it comes
happens.
across. Yeah.
So this is where we find out that Lord Samos is kind of like...
A big deal.
Yeah, he's kind of a big
kind
deal.
of a big deal.
And that's one of the reasons that everyone knew Evangeline was going to win Queen's trial, because her family is so powerful and
Why-
so high in this silver hierarchy.
Why are they so powerful? What do they give?
He knows Merlin Olsen. He comes over sometimes. No, all of the guns come from his
I was trying to find it.
land. So this war that's been going on for 100 years, all of his people...
He's profiting off of it.
Right, he's
Exactly.
a warlord. He's a
Yeah,
warlord.
He's a warlord.
He's Dick Cheney. He'll
So,
probably shoot somebody while they're hunting later.
Hey, he could probably shoot someone and get away with it too.
I'm sure he could.
Deep cut.
Could also get like 7 or 8 heart transplants, I'm sure.
so
So pretty much is Dick Cheney.
And is this from this information she's getting is from Maven, correct?
yes.
He's like sitting beside her, telling her who everybody is here.
Yeah.
And what does she notice as she's sitting? What does she notice about Maven's skin? Maven touches her.
Oh, yeah. She notices that it's actually cold.
Shockingly cold, I think
Yeah.
she says.
Yeah.
And she's noticed prior that Cal's skin is...
Warm.
So this is weird. If they're brothers, what's the dealio?
Is it a little foreshadowing?
Foreshadowing. I mean, snakes are cold-blooded.
Ooh. I think it's kind of like how... It's almost like when Cal is expressing like emotion or anger, he gets hot. I almost wonder if Maven is like the opposite. Even though they're both burners, it's like he almost... Or that's him trying to keep his emotions in check.
I think it's him trying to keep his emotions in check. I think that's why his skin is so cold.
Like
'Cause
he's
he is
cooling his temper
repressing
and his
himself
body.
as much as possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because one is basically linked to
Yeah.
the other. Yeah. So this is when we get to see kind of some really destructive thoughts that are going through Mare's head here. She is
She has almost
Not
another existential crisis.
in a good headspace. Yeah.
Mare
and this isn't
is
even
very
Alara
paranoid.
messing with her. This
Yeah.
is just Mare on her own.
Mare's just paranoid at this point.
Yeah. Why don't you read us some of what Mare has to say when her thoughts here?
Okay. So, Mare says, I cannot slip. Not now, not ever. I'm one of them. I'm special. I'm an accident. I'm a lie. And my life depends on maintaining the illusion. That's
I
kind of
wrote
the first
down
bit.
that makes her a true silver.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
silvers are all about maintaining this illusion of, not as like illusion of power, but it's all about how they look.
Sometimes it is an illusion.
Learning how to be silver right from the get-go.
Yeah. And then she's also paranoid and scared about the Scarlet Guard.
Yeah, she's like terrified of Farley.
I mean, who wouldn't be? Farley is kind of a terrifying person.
So like she's like afraid that they're going to see her and think, oh, she's the Silver, or she's working with the Silvers, and they're going to kidnap her and put her on TV and kill her for everybody to see to show that
show that she's red, but they were saying
Right.
she's Silver to kind of expose the
she's
King's lies and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
she's completely losing it at this point.
Oh, yeah.
she's totally losing
She's
it.
going 100% insane.
Also, at the same time, she's being exposed to all these cameras and all this electricity
Which
for
she
the
can
first
feel.
time in the palace that she can feel.
Yeah.
So she doesn't know if that is a side effect of what happened earlier, or if it's just this would have always happened if she
She's
would have been
aware of it
around
now.
electricity. She's never been around electricity, so she's
Yeah.
only aware of it now. I mean, they did have some electricity in there,
But not this.
But
like
not this much.
but not this. And she
Like-
fixed the box that one
Yeah.
time with her dad. She was able to fix it just by touching it.
She's-
So if there was more electricity around her, I feel like she would have known about this at a lot earlier age.
Also, I think she's like, is this something that I've always been able to do? It's just the shield, like, kind of brought this up in me.
Well, I think she is with electricity the way the nymphs are with water, or the burners are with fire. She can only control what's around her. She didn't grow up around electricity, so there was none for her to control. Now she's in the palace with electricity running constantly through all the walls. There's so much there for her to be able to wield. It's like wearing a little bracelet like Cal or Maven, but she's walking through it
Yeah.
instead.
And I think that's kind of how she's thinking about it.
Well, I mean,
I don't know if that's necessarily true.
True.
but
In fairness, at this point, though, she doesn't know the true extent of her powers.
No,
Right.
she doesn't.
she just knows she can feel where the big points of electricity are, like cameras or lights or things like that.
Right.
She can feel those things. But she couldn't back in the stilts. Like the electrical box or whatever, she couldn't feel that stuff. It wasn't until she, like, got to Somerton and felt the cameras there the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So this is when Cal walks her to her room, right? They split up, and Maven walks Evangeline to her room, and Cal
Yes.
walks Mare to her room.
Yeah. They kind of have a little bit of a conversation.
Mare talks about her family, right?
Yeah.
This is the first time we see her relax in about 12 hours,
At least. Yeah. this
other
is-
than when she was unconscious.
And
I don't think that really counts. I don't think she was necessarily relaxed.
when she says something about her family, what does Cal tell her about what they told, what her family was told?
He says that they know that she has to stay there. She has to live with them, but they think she's a servant because they can't exactly tell her what's really going on. They can't tell them what's really going on yet. They'll have to eventually.
Right, because like, don't even the Reds get like the news and stuff sometimes? Like, wouldn't they see her
Yeah,
everywhere?
like it would be at least in the square at some point, especially something that big. Like they would put that everywhere.
Right.
And yeah, I think it's just he even says when your life becomes more public, we'll figure out how to deal with them.
Right.
So, like, once we start putting you everywhere, or once you're on the news constantly, we'll find out how we're going to deal with that situation.
Right, they know that you're okay.
Yeah. They know that you're not dead, which I guess is the most they can give them at this point.
Yeah. We find out that Mare can tell when they get to her room that there's cameras in there.
Mm-hmm.
And she questions Cal about it. And he says, Mare, there aren't any cameras in your room.
Yeah.
So that spins her for a loop right there. She can clearly feel them.
Mm-hmm.
So
But
she's
he
like,
can't
is
see
he
them.
lying to me?
Or does he not know?
Or does he not even know?
Yeah.
Which is a possibility.
So, you know, there's just, it's like an onion for Mare at this point in time. So every time she peels back a layer, there's just more and more and more there
Yeah.
to it.
And also, she finds out that that electrical sense isn't normal. Like, not everyone feels this way.
Yeah. We also get a mutter and a wince in this section.
Oh, really?
Cow winces, we get some more muttering.
Mm.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Real good stuff. there's a lot of wincing and flinching. And,
Oh, and that her brothers have been
yes.
sent for. She lets...
Yeah.
Been
She
sent
lets
for,
them-
but we don't know. Yeah.
Right, we don't know anything about...
Yeah. Just that the conscript release was sent for her brothers, and I think they got Kalorn a job.
I believe so,
I think
yeah.
that's how they got Kalorn out of it. Because they had to come up with some reason that they got out of conscription. So it was like some lottery thing or whatever. They chose like one family, and it just happened to be
The Warrens. Yeah.
the Barrows.
They got him a job at the mutter factory so he can help keep up the production with all those mutters.
Correct.
Yeah, and then they got Kalorn a servant's job. So,
Then we get some massive foreshadowing by Mare here at the end of the chapter. And she says, I don't think anything about me is normal anymore.
yeah.
So from when she woke up the day before to now when she's getting ready to go to bed
Yeah.
at this palace,
It's been like 13 hours or
yeah,
something.
her entire life has changed.
Yeah. And then at the end of the chapter, she says, in fairy tales, the poor girl smiles when she becomes a princess. Right now, I don't know if I'll ever smile again. It's like, wow.
So dramatic, Mare.
I don't think she's necessarily being over dramatic, though. I mean, imagine yourself in this
Did
position.
she just watch a Transformers movie?
Oh my god, Dad.
She just watched the Ronin video. She'll never smile
She will
again.
never smile again. I still can't watch that video. That's for another time.
Brings us to that's the end of chapter 11.
Yeah.
Anything that we want to go back and look at or discuss? Did you have any notes or any questions, either of you?
I think we got everything.
Yeah, the big thing I just want the listeners to take away about these chapters is, you know, we make a lot of jokes, and it is just a character in a book, but Mare is really struggling in this moment. This is way too much pressure and
When she's like, what, 17?
mental toxicity
Yeah.
for a 17-year-old. Her entire family's well-being rests in her hands, she feels. She's got to play this part perfectly, or everybody she loves is going to die, basically. Like, that's what she's walking through this palace thinking, is that one wrong step and everybody I love dies, including me. So, in fact, Laura would probably drag her to wherever they are, kill them all in front of her, and then kill her. Like,
Exactly.
make it painful.
Yeah, that's
So-
how big this situation is.
Yeah.
And that's how scared she has to be for everything to work out and for her and her family to not die.
Right.
True. And while all this is happening, also another thing to remember is she's seeing the Silvers more and more for who they truly are and not who they thought they were, these godlike creatures.
Yeah.
It's like every interaction she has, she sees them more and more just like her, only with abilities. Well, now she also has abilities.
Right.
So what
So
separates
what
them other than
separates
the color of their
them?
blood?
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons that they're so scared of her. The Silvers are scared of her because they think, well, what really is the difference between Reds and Silvers except for the color of their blood and the fact that we have abilities? Now that they've seen a Red with abilities, it really scares them. They don't like that they are not the only ones that have that anymore, and it's the only thing that's really allowed them to stay in power this long.
Right.
So what's keeping Reds from being like, wait, why are we doing this if some of us have abilities?
Right, and they also are keeping it even from other Silvers. Because they don't want anyone to know this because it would be a sign of weakness.
Exactly.
Anything that could
Right.
challenge their power.
And they don't like that.
No.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, this has been a great episode. We
Yeah.
had a lot of really good discussion. We're getting ready to go into some
Pretty
rough
deep
times
stuff.
for Mare.
Which
yeah.
is why we're making so many jokes. Because if we don't, this is going to get real depressing real fast. And we don't want that for us or for you. So we're going to try and keep it light-ish. But there's a certain point coming up in like a couple chapters that I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. I may almost cry.
Yep. There's some heavy stuff coming up.
Foreshadow.
Foreshadowing.
Maybe. Okay. Maybe.
So, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Want to hear something particular that you'd like to talk about on the episode? Give us shoot us an email at readingwiththerockefellers@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, and occasionally we might pop up on Twitter. Instagram is Reading with the Rockefellers, all spelled out just like that. Twitter is Rockefeller Read. So find us on social media and interact with us. We'd love to hear from our fans. We'll see everybody next week.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.